Hello my beautiful watchers and welcome back to the Lost in Adaptation November Nanos! What the bloody hello? Hello, handsome. Terence, if that's you, I swear I'm gonna kill you. What? No, I'm you from the future. Ah, it's gonna be one of those sorts of days then. Joy. I've been sent back in time to stop you from making a terrible mistake. Reviewing Total Recall is a terrible mistake. Sort of. You're planning on doing the original and ignoring the reboot, right? Maybe. Well, I'm here to tell you that not reviewing the reboot starts a series of events that ultimately leads to global warfare and the downfall of society. That seems unlikely, and yet the post-apocalyptic proof stands before you. Okay, assuming I can summon the overwhelming arrogance to assume the fate of the world rests entirely in my hands, I guess I'm not opposed to doing the 2012 version instead of the original. Awesome, I'll get your camera. Hello. What the fuck, man? Greetings, past me! This may be hard to believe, but I'm you from the future. Actually, not as hard to believe as you might expect. I've been sent back in time to save my world. Our idyllic war, disease, and hunger-free new society was just starting to get really good, and then the bloody fabric of the universe itself started unraveling. We've traced the source back to this moment in time. It seems the review that went on to unify all the countries of the world is in danger of not happening anymore. Good lord, if anything, that seems more unlikely. Yes, well, you'll get over it. And now that I'm here, I think I can guess who's been fucking up my timeline. So, okay, let me get this straight. In your timeline, not reviewing the reboot causes the end of the world, but your timeline is in danger of being erased from existence altogether if I don't review the original. Apparently. I'm going back to bed. No, you have to review the original Total Recall. Hey, fuck you, Lemon Fresh. If there's no review of the reboot, I spend the rest of my life fighting horny mutant squirrels. Wait, what? You don't want to know. Look, dystopian future Dom, utopian future Dom, there's an easy solution here you're not seeing. What? Look, no matter which version we do, it's going to be in-name only, right? Right. So, counting the book, there's 3 reviews to do, and 3 of us now. Ah. Hello again, my beautiful watchers. I can't say that my preconceptions about what life as an internet critic was going to be like have been very accurate so far, but whatever. I guess you just gotta roll with certain things. Anyway, here's my thoughts on We Can Remember It for You Wholesale, the short story that inspired Total Recall. It was written in 1966 by Philip K. Dick, an author hailed as being one of the most talented and influential writers in science fiction, and whose work has been the recipient of several other questionable adaptations. It can be found in a collection book of many short stories of his, confusingly also named We Can Remember It for You Wholesale, because I guess it was the most popular of the bunch despite being left until chapter 6. I'm officially invoking the in-name only clause on this one, meaning each version of the story is so different there's no point comparing them, so they're each going to get a separate review so the differences can speak for themselves. As your glorious present day host, I guess it falls to me to give you a synopsis and review of the book first. In the not too distant future, a man called Douglas Quayle is working a boring job as a clerk in a government building and cannot get the idea of going to Mars out of his head. Visiting the human colonies there haunts his dreams and his waking hours. His wife tries, using constant negativity, to dissuade him of this ambition, but despite her, he goes to a company called Recall to get the artificial memory of a trip implanted into his brain in the hopes that that will satisfy him. As it's always been his lifelong secret dream to be a highly trained government agent, he pays extra to have that fantasy added in as well. The people at Recall sedate him and attempt to insert the memory, but find that they can't because there's already exactly that in his brain. Quayle really is a secret agent who went to Mars and is now so far undercover even he doesn't know it. Quayle temporarily regains consciousness. Now acting completely different, he berates the Recall technicians for blowing his cover, acknowledging that it was probably an accident, but still being pretty pissed. McLean, the head doctor, quickly realizes he's in over his head, refunds half of Quayle's money, and tries to send him home. At first, Quayle is too confused to realize what's happening. He doesn't remember the conversation he had under sedation at Recall, but does remember going there, so concludes his newly resurfacing memories of Mars must be a fake due to Recall botching their job. He instructs his mildly annoying robot cab driver to take him back there, demanding and receiving a full refund from the nervous Recall staff. He then returns home, grumpy that he now has a bunch of memories from Mars that he knows to be fake, until he finds proof in his desk of their legitimacy, a box of local fauna that he smuggled back from Mars then completely forgot about. Now thoroughly confused, he tries to question his wife about whether he really has gone to Mars or not, but she decides decides this is just too weird for her and storms out. Two heavily armed interplanetary police agents show up out of nowhere and tell him that he has a chip in his head that allows them to read his thoughts, so they know that he's remembering what he did, and that is a big problem for them and him. The conversation he has with them is really weird because they not only answer his verbal questions, they also respond to his thoughts as well. It's trippy as fuck. At this exact moment, Quayle suddenly remembers why he went to Mars and why they chose to erase his memory of it. He wasn't just a secret agent, he was a government assassin. He had fought past 15 bodyguards and murdered the leader of a political party on Mars that was in danger of causing trouble for Earth's interests. Reading his mind about this latest memory revival, the cops decide they have to kill him immediately so the truth can't get out and cause mass outrage. Fortunately for Quayle, with the return of this memory also came his former assassination skills. Dodging the police officer's bullet, he disarms him and trains his weapon on his would-be executioners. However, they know through the mind-reading chip that he knows that killing them won't achieve anything, so he flees the building instead. Indecisive on what to do next, Quayle realizes that he has absolutely no chance and is basically a dead man walking. To his surprise, he then finds out that his former spook masters can talk to him through his brain chip as well as spy on him, and they start to negotiate. He offers to take another mind wipe, but they say that wouldn't be enough. If they gave him another life, he would just get bored and seek out recall again, or worse, actually go to Mars. Quayle suggests a compromise. They program him with a memory that isn't boring as shit. If he was a former interplanetary adventurer or a Hugh Hefner-style playboy, maybe his need for meaning in life would be satisfied. The interplanetary police decide to give it a try as, slightly out of keeping for a stereotypical Black Ops division, they feel a sense of obligation towards their former most talented assassin. Quayle surrenders himself to them and they use a top-notch psychiatrist to find out what his deepest subconscious desire is, so they can make it real for him when they program his new identity. After a lot of tests, they discover that his ultimate wish fulfillment past is simple yet extraordinary. Deep down in his heart of hearts, Quayle wishes that when he was a young boy, he had happened to be in the right place at the right time to make first contact with a race of tiny aliens, no bigger than dormice, who land their scout ship on Earth in the first step in a full-scale invasion. Humanity would have had no chance against their technological superiority, but young Douglas was so kind to them, so open and accepting, that they decided to hold off on their invasion at least while he was still alive. Basically, Quayle wanted to have the secret knowledge at the back of his head every day that simply by existing, he was saving the Earth from enslavement. The interplanetary police are somewhat disgusted that someone could be so arrogant as to think up a story about the fate of the world resting in his hands. But they agree to hire Recall to implant the memories for him. The final twist of the book is, and you may have guessed this, that they discover that this also actually happened. Quayle is indeed the only thing stopping an invasion of tiny but powerful aliens. It turns out he was the best assassin who ever lived because he was given a bunch of advanced combat technology by his new friends. Quayle had forgotten about this as well when the government erased his memory of being a secret agent. The story ends without a real resolution to this. The interplanetary police are stumped, not able to kill Quayle without dooming the planet, but not knowing what the fuck to do with him now that he's going to be able to remember everything. I totally see why Philip K. Dick is held in such high regard. The science in his science fiction is a little dodgy at best, but his plots and characters are so engaging you don't mind, and he came up with so many wonderfully unique concepts in his stories. I have to confess the final plot twist did surprise me, but then I'm the only person I know who didn't see the end to The Sixth Sense coming, so... There are some plot points in this that just don't stand up to scrutiny, like, how the fuck would a man who knew that Earth's safety rested entirely on him being alive allow himself to become an assassin? Not only is that job incredibly dangerous, he must have known he'd eventually be considered disposable by his employers. Endangering himself, and therefore the whole world like that, seems a little reckless to say the least. It's kind of like using your EpiPen as a projectile weapon. I mean, sure, it might get results, but you're greatly increasing the chances of being far more buggered afterwards. There's also a few odd things here and there in this book that I want to talk about, either because they stood out to me or in preparation for the two film reviews. At one point, Quayle decides to write a letter of complaint about Recall on his typewriter. Now, I can only assume that's a device called a typewriter that's not actually what currently comes to mind with that word, kind of like us calling tablets tablets, you know? In the book, Quayle partook of snuff, which is only funny because it makes me imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger sneezing. Quayle's wife was so grumpy and relentlessly negative in this that she kind of reminded me of like a Stephen King character, like Sarah, the unlucky woman from Children of the Corn. The receptionist at Recall was always topless and apparently painted her large breasts a different colour every day. Without further context, I wasn't sure if this was supposed to represent a future that had moved on to a higher level of progressive enlightened acceptance of public nudity, or an increase in misogyny in general, because the only person who was nude was a woman working at what appeared to be a male-dominated company. You will have noticed, I hope, the complete and utter lack of ambiguity in this story in regards to if any of this actually happened. Quayle was definitely a former government agent. What's very interesting about the way that Recall works in the book is the Doctor explained very clearly that the recipient of the false memories would believe 100% that the events were real, not just while they were being implanted, but forever, and he would have no idea that he had gone to visit Recall in the first place. When they're done uploading the memories to someone, they would drop him off at the spaceport arrivals terminal with a ticket stub in his pocket and a bunch of genuine mementos from Mars. It wasn't like an immersive video game where you wake up afterwards and realise that none of it was real. For the rest of your life you would genuinely believe that you did all the fantastical things they programmed into you, but were simply choosing not to do them anymore. This is an interesting idea, but I have severe trouble believing it ever really worked. I mean, you'd have to be an unemployed introvert with no friends or family for the lie to hold up for more than just the cab ride home. Hey man, I'm back from my trip into space. I can't talk about it because it's sort of classified, but it was pretty crazy. Dude, you've been gone for like an hour tops. What? Even though I've spoiled this story's plot for you, it's only one of many in this book, so I'd recommend giving it a read if you can get your hands on it. Right then, next up, one of two possible variations of me from the future. Maybe I should have become a clerk. Hey beautiful watchers, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that there's a variety of rewards you can earn by becoming a Patreon, including early access to all videos, getting to be a part of the survey about how many people saw the film and read the book, or playing Minecraft with me on my 24-hour server. Higher level contributors can also join the Dom Skype chat room, and best of all, choose future episodes of Lost in Adaptation. However, if right now you are thinking, my goodness the Dom, I can't do that, I recently commissioned a 17-foot high naked statue of myself, those things aren't cheap you know. Fear not, if you would instead be willing to like, share, subscribe, or a combination of all three, that goes a long way towards helping my channel grow and reach new beautiful watchers. Have a most pleasant day, and I will see you soon.